Howdy, music fans. Thanks so much for joining me for another installment of Superstars of Country, number 3. Today, if you might be able to tell from my shirt, we're doing Willie Nelson today, and he's another one I actually got a chance to meet at a show afterwards. He hangs out by his bus, and he meets people, lets them come up in a line, and I got to shake his hand and tell him what a great show I thought it was, and I just loved it. And he was just a really sweet guy. Just looking him in the eye and talking to him briefly you could just kind of tell the kind of soul he is. And I've never seen another show ever where there's that many people, that many things thrown on stage: hats, boots, shirts, all kinds of things, bandanas, whatever. And he would wear them and toss them along and toss them out to other people, and it was pretty cool. And also, women running on stage to hug him and kiss him. Never seen that in real life. I've seen it in clips of videos, of course, but never in real life, and certainly never that much. I mean, at least 3 women ran on stage and hugged him or kissed him, and then security would politely walk him away, and that was that. So, yeah, he is well loved. All right, let's get into it. The first one I have here, these aren't completely in order. They're mostly in order, chronological, but not completely. Tougher Than Leather, I don't have on actual CD. I just have a burn of it, but it is a great album of his. And it's kind of in the style of his mid-70s albums, which are the ones I like the best. I don't have everything by him by any means. I'm not big into his crooning era, or his real early stuff, or his stuff like, with strings and things like he did with Julio Iglesias, or I forget who else, some of the bigger crooner names. I'm not big into that stuff, but I love his mid-70s and some of his 80s and some of his 90s and 2000s work. Phases and Stages, one of his big early albums that has Bloody Mary Morning, Sisters Coming Home, and Down at the Quarter Beer Joint. He didn't write all these songs, and he definitely is a songwriter, but he's kind of coming into his own here, really coming into that outlaw 70s sound, even though it's a lot of covers. But yeah, and he's not like, selling songs like crazy for a bag of groceries, or $50 or whatever it was. He's finding his sound here, and he comes up with this, run of albums that are just amazing. This one is probably my favorite, Shotgun Willie. It has the song Shotgun Willie and Whiskey River, which he opens every show with. Devil in a Sleeping Bag, She's Not For You, Bubbles in My Beer, it's a Bob Wills tune. Sad Songs and Waltzes, Stay All Night, Stay a Little Longer. You Look Like the Devil, another great one. Just lots of great songs on this album, and it's definitely one of his best. Next, you've probably heard of this one, Red-Headed Stranger, which he brought to the record company, and they're like, okay, we'll go ahead and finish it and bring it back. And he's like, nope, that's done, this is it. It was very spare and very sparse, and they didn't want to release it, but they listened to him in the end, and I think it went platinum or something. Certainly gold. One of his biggest albums ever has Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, which was written by Fred Rose and is a much older song. A lot of people probably think Willie wrote that, but he did not. Then we have The Troublemaker, which you might be able to tell looking at it and just by the title that it's a kind of religious album. It has Uncloudy Day, When the Roll is Called Up Yonder, and Will the Circle Be Unbroken, and things like that. But it's in the same vein as these other albums, same kind of sound, and Bobby Nelson's classic piano riffs, and the typical bass line and country bass line and acoustic guitar, and just a great sound. This definitely fits right in there. Next is a live one, Willie and Family Live, which has, of course, Paul English as drummer and Mickey Raphael on harmonica and Bobby Nelson, his sister, on piano. And this is just another great one, a double disc set with lots and lots and lots of songs. I had a lot of these on vinyl as a kid, and so some of these are just filling in holes. Don't know how much I'll listen to them. I got this last year, I think, when I was in 2020 in my feverish CD buying binge year. Next, Willie Nelson sings Christofferson, which you can probably figure that out. That's all Chris Christofferson tunes. The ones he does are Me and Bobby McGee, Help Me Make It Through the Night. What else that you might know? Please Don't Tell Me How the Story Ends. Loving Her Was Easier Than Anything I'll Ever Do Again. Sunday Morning Coming Down. So some good ones, and then some lesser known ones as well. Next is a Willie and Leon Russell One for the Road. How many albums are called One for the Road? Or One More for the Road? Anyway, this is Willie and teaming up with Leon Russell to do a lot of old classics, country songs, some rock and roll. Heartbreak Hotel's on here, but I Saw the Light and Detour, and there's probably other Hank Williams songs on here, I imagine. Like I Saw the Light. Summertime is on here. That's an old classic, of course. That Lucky Old Sun. They're kind of veering into crooner stuff, but You Are My Sunshine. That's a wonderful song, and Let the Rest of the World Go By. Trouble in Mind. Don't Fence Me in. The Wild Side of Life. So there's a lot of great stuff on here. Willie Nelson and Leon Russell, One for the Road. Next is a soundtrack to a movie he did called Honeysuckle Rose, and the family band is playing on it. And Amy Irving does actually sing on this album. I don't think Diane Cannon does, but they're the stars in the movie. It wasn't a terrible movie. Willie Nelson's in it, and he plays a country star going from town to town, and one of these women is his wife, and one is his girlfriend kind of thing. And, it's typical bar fight scenes and honky-tonk scenes and coming home and seeing the kids scenes and that kind of thing. But, it's okay. It's an okay B movie, not terrible. Next is Born for Trouble, and this one I love because it has a song, Ain't Necessarily So, kind of really exemplifies Willie Nelson's Zen attitude towards life. And 10 with a 2, I think it is, or 2 with a 10. I came home last night at 2 with a 10 and woke up this morning at 10 with a 2, which I don't know if you can get away with saying that anymore, but it's a silly, funny song, and I guess some people would probably find it offensive, but it's kind of funny, I think, kind of silly. And it has some other good stuff on it as well. Next is a really incredible album called Across the Borderline, and this has Paul Simon, Bob Dylan, Peter Gabriel, Lyle Lovett, John Hyatt on it. And he does at the time, unreleased John Hyatt song called The Most Unoriginal Sin, which is an incredible song. And he's doing basically these artists' songs. He does American Tune by Paul Simon, and he does a Lyle Lovett tune on here with Lyle, I believe. But I think that the real standout on here is a couple of... he also does Graceland on here with Paul Simon, I believe. The real standout, though, is him and Sinead O'Connor doing Don't Give Up, the Peter Gabriel song. It is absolutely sends a chill up my back every time, up my spine. It's just amazing, beautiful rendition. Now, it just so happens that song was, the first time I ever heard that song, it was played, I think it was the Peter Gabriel version, was played at a memorial for a friend of mine when I was like 17 or 18 or something. So, of course, the song touches me in that way, but I don't see how you can listen to that song and not, really, it's an incredible song. It's a moving song. Don Was produced this, so you can't go wrong with Across the Borderline when you're looking for later Willie Nelson. This one's called Spirit. It's got one of my favorite songs of his on it called We Don't Run. And it's got some Spanish sounding stuff and some instrumentals, some acoustic stuff. It's a good album. It's a little bit slower, but it's a good album. I do like it. This one, Teatro, is an amazing album. Also kind of a Spanish-y sound here and there, but it's produced by Daniel Lanois, so it's got that kind of production sound on it as well. And Emmylou Harris is on some of these songs. And some of these songs are songs he's done before, like Everywhere I Go, I Never Cared for You, and Darkness on the Face of the Earth. Those are all older songs of his. So, he's one of these artists again that redoes his songs a lot. But this album is just phenomenal. Really great stuff on this. Now we have a real return to form with country called Just One Love. I believe he does a duet with Kimmy Rhodes on this album. And just in general, this album is a great album. It's just a great country album. I don't remember the songs as far as any standout songs except for Just One Love and Each Night at 9. Oh, actually, no, as I read the songs now, I remember all of them. It's a Sin, Four Walls, definitely some old country songs. Smoke, Smoke, Smoke That Cigarette, Cold, Cold Heart, old Hank Williams tune. For 8 More Miles to Louisville, yeah, that's an old bluegrass tune. And Bonaparte's Retreat, and that's an old kind of fiddle tune. A lot of great stuff on here, and this is all... these are mostly old classics. Now we have Me and Paul, about Paul referring to Paul English, his drummer, and there's a song on here called Me and Paul about all the trouble they get into over the years and their escapades. And It's a great song and it's a great album. And he does 3 Billy Joe Shaver songs on here. He does Black Rose, one of my favorites, Spin to George on a Fast Train, and Old Five and Dimers Like Me, and does a bunch of his own songs as well on here, a bunch of Willie Nelson songs. This one I found, I don't know, a couple or a few years ago. Willie Nelson, actually I might have bought this online, and the Offenders, Me and the Drummer, and I bought it because, however I got it, I bought it because I couldn't believe that Tales Out of Luck. It looks like a Starbucks or a Cracker Barrel release, right? But it's all country Willie Nelson that I'd never heard before, except here. So, who'd have thunk it? Who knows what that thing is? But anyway, next is Ride Me Back Home, another later in the 2000s return to form. This is a great one. Let's see, it looks like there might be, there's one song with his sons, Lucas and Micah, on here. It's Hard to Be Humble. And this is just a great country album. I don't know if I know later he started writing again more songs, which definitely attracts me quite a bit. But now these are like classics or songs from songwriters. I don't really recognize most of them, so I don't think they're old country classics. But next we have Poncho and Lefty, a song he did with, an album he did with Merle Haggard, titled after the Townes Van Zandt song, in which he does that song on there. This is obviously earlier than those other ones. That's just in the wrong place. And last, the last album that I have of his, which is not his last album. He releases so many albums, and since then he's released at least 3 or 4, I think. Last Man Standing. This is another fantastic return to form, and he and Buddy Cannon together have written every single one of these songs. And on the back of the booklet, look at this wonderful picture of Trigger. Isn't that cool? Isn't that beautiful? And then beautiful picture of the sweetest guy you'll ever meet, the sweetest country singer you'll ever meet. All right, folks, that concludes Superstars of Country number 3, Willie Nelson. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Tell me what you think of Willie. Like, comment, subscribe, all of the above. And thanks so much for tuning in. Have a good day.